Well, I think this one's better, honestly.
I'm not going to wear it for the show.
Okay.
But
Okay. I'll wear the hat.
I am going to say this is In the Jungle with Jungle Jim
You got
Hunter,
the hat on.
And I have my hat on. And
Took long enough. Only took
This is
12
the hat
episodes.
I really wanted. And, of course, Cole couldn't get one.
Hey, I got one right here.
I came through with
hat.
it.
This hat's great.
The worst hat in
It's
the
awesome.
world.
Okay.
And I'm all pumped up about this week.
Me too. I'm so excited. It
It's-
took you 12 whole episodes to get a hat. I thought we would be a little quicker on the ball than that, but it's good. You even got a little strap.
Yeah.
Does it go around your neck?
Yep.
Can I see?
No.
Aw. Okay, maybe next week.
Next week.
Next week. Okay, Jim. Well, I have an announcement for everyone.
Okay, what's the announcement?
So you give me a hard time for saying I say I want to bench press 225. I
Yeah.
want to be big and strong. And
Yeah.
You critique me for not doing the work, but every single day since last episode, so it's been that's 14 days now. I have worked out every single morning at exactly the same time, and I recorded it, and I'm getting somewhere. Are you proud of me? My arms are so much bigger. Look at them. Look at them. Look how big they are. They're huge.
In 2 weeks, they wouldn't have changed one little bit. Okay? You
Okay.
may have gotten stronger, but they wouldn't have changed. So you shouldn't go up dress size yet. I would stick with your shirts that you have.
Okay, I need a whole new wardrobe.
No, you don't need a new wardrobe yet.
Praise.
And I want to ask you a question.
Yes.
Has your confidence gone up that you can finally maybe do it?
Oh yeah, walking.
So?
My chest is puffed up when I'm walking to a room now.
It is so appropriate that we're doing this about confidence and
Yes.
you're learning about confidence.
This is so amazing.
And what makes confidence work? Because you have to be who you say you are.
I have to be someone who benches 225.
Well.
Who weighs 200 pounds.
I can get you there if you'll just stick to the program, but you won't even look at my program.
Okay,
so.
okay. The program says I have to weigh the program says I was supposed to have benched 225 last month.
If you'd have stuck with it.
That's okay. Okay. I'm
But-
trying. I'm getting somewhere. It's
But
better.
The truth is, Cole, is that you're very typical of most people.
Oh wow, thanks. I'm not different.
They start out with great hopes.
Mm-hmm.
And it's easy to get in the starting gate and say, I can run 100 meters.
Yeah.
But it's another thing when you all of a sudden got to try and run the 100 meters and then realize that you got to do it again and again and again if you ever want to be the fastest man in the world.
You can't just do it once.
And you can't just do it once. You got to do it every day.
Well, I did it for 14 days. That's
Well,
better than
I
mine.
am so proud of you. I know that it might seem like we've spent a lot of time talking about confidence and about the myths, but I want you to understand that to build confidence, remember, the words are confidence or
Yes.
fideo. And
Believe in what you made or what
it's
was made.
believing in what is made.
Yeah.
And the only way you can believe in what is made is to get over the cons, right?
Get over the
There's
cons.
pros and cons.
Yes.
And the word confidence starts with con, and it's a con. What is it that keeps you from doing it? Why all of a sudden did you start going for 14 days in a row?
Right.
Why all of a sudden can you do 14 days in a row and you won't let anything get in the way? And, the biggest problem that you've got is now that you've bragged about the fact that you've done 14 days, I know what's about to happen. What's about to happen is you're going to miss a day, and then you're going to go, oh, no, here we go again. I don't want to do this anymore. So I'm just telling you that once you brag about something that you accomplished,
Yes.
9 times out of 10, you weaken the strength of being able to do it again the next time.
Interesting.
And great athletes know that you don't brag about and talk about what you just accomplished. Instead, you're always focused on what's happening next. What comes now? What happens now? NOW.
Right.
Now,
Now.
if I own what I do, I've already won the day. I've already won it. WONOWN.
Oh yeah, they're inverse.
They're all
of
the
each
same
other.
word.
Own
Same
now.
letters. If you do what's important now, you own the moment. And that's actually the basic technique to build confidence. Own what you know you need to do now.
Own what you know you need to do. Okay, give me an example.
What did you do in preparation for coming to record the podcast this week that you knew you need to get done, you want to get it done, and you have other things to do today, but if training is important and if bench pressing 225 is the key thing that you want to accomplish, Did you set your alarm, get up early, and get it done before you had to do anything else?
Yeah. Yeah.
This
became
is
important.
this is what it means to do what's important now. In light of where you're going, that has to be done today, that will move you one step closer to that point on the mountain that you're climbing. The biggest challenge for most people is they want to do other things and don't want to stay committed to the one thing that will move them towards the desired outcome, the desired goal they want to have. If you think about it, and you're too young to think about it.
My brain isn't fully developed.
But if you
I
had a
can't get there yet.
girlfriend,
Okay. That's a lot of presumption in that sentence, sir.
you would make sure that you do what's important now in light of
Right.
the fact that you want to build that relationship.
Right. I gotcha.
And so it's like where you work. If you have a job and you work somewhere and you have to get a certain amount of work done, you've got to get something done that has to be done, you make sure that all the pieces are in place so that you can get that work done.
Right.
And you do it now. You don't put it off because, the simple example I know to talk about this is the guy that goes out to change the oil in his car and he's got the weekend to do it. And so he puts his car up on the jack and gets it off the ground and he gets underneath, gets the oil pan, pulls the plug, drains the oil, takes the filter off, and then goes, oh, I didn't pick up the oil in the filter. Now how am I going to get
how did you
to
go
the
get
store to pick it up? And this is why we fail at doing what's important now.
You got to remember. You got to know what's important. Yeah.
Those things have to be done first. And if you do them first, you build your confidence and you move towards where you're going. I mean, there's a podcast all by itself.
Right.
I don't even need to say today's podcast.
Right. What is the next myth of today?
The next myth is confident people are outspoken and arrogant. They're people that walk around going, like Muhammad Ali, I am the greatest. As a matter of fact, when Muhammad Ali was asked why he says that, he says, because I used to say that to myself. I am the greatest before I was the greatest. But
So wait, hold on. This is about Muhammad Ali. This is not about me. You didn't just come up on this, like on the fly.
no,
Oh,
because right now you haven't done anything
hey!
for you to say you're the greatest
Okay.
at anything.
Wow.
Okay?
Wow.
Sorry,
Wow.
folks.
Wow.
He's just
Jim,
a great guy.
you're just mean to me. Wow. Okay.
I'm just trying to help you get real before you actually
Okay.
get really good.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna keep going to the gym.
I just
One day
want
I'll
you
walk
to
in and you'll
get
go,
really
whoa,
good.
whoa.
Exactly.
You're gonna go, whoa, and I'm gonna say that's right.
I'll tell you what. You know when you'll bench 225? You'll
When?
bench
What?
225 when you have to change your clothes.
Oh,
when you have to change your wardrobe because they don't fit anymore.
The small shirts don't fit. Okay, but you're saying arrogant people. Okay, wait. So, I kind of missed that point. So,
Well, I want to come back to. I use Muhammad Ali as an example of confident people are outspoken and arrogant, and Muhammad Ali is this icon of people, of someone that used to walk around and say things to intimidate his competition and intimidate the boxers that he had to go up against, and he acted like he was better than anybody else. The interesting thing, and I want you to know this, that I know him personally and have met him many times personally.
Really?
Because of my lifestyle and what I did and places I was at and things that I did. And when I met him personally, he was the most humble person in the world. He was as kind and as gentle as you could possibly be and soft-spoken. But you suddenly realize that his public persona was one of intimidating his competition. And he psyched many guys out. John McEnroe, the great tennis player, was like that as well. He was a guy that would intimidate the judges and the referees and the linesmen and his competition. And he used it, but it was a screen for the fact that he actually was a great tennis player and he was good at what he did. And some people, you'll meet people that are arrogant and outspoken. In other words, they don't have time for you. They don't want to talk to you. They don't have anything to do with you because they act like they're confident. The truth is, most people who have to tell you how good they are, unless they are the Muhammad Alis of the world that actually can back up what they say they can do, it's actually a screen for how insecure they really are.
Right.
And children that grow up with parents that tell everybody how great their child is are embarrassed most of the time when their parents are bragging about them to somebody else, especially if it's somebody you want to impress. And parents don't realize it, that when they do that, the child is diminishing in his belief in himself because he doesn't have that same outspoken confidence that the parents have.
When the parents are bragging about the kid.
Exactly. And
the
you
kid
should never
feels-
do that in front of your other kids.
I
Because
guess
the other
messy,
kids
yeah.
are standing there going, what am I, chopped liver?
Right.
What am I? Am I just the extra kid in this family? And so what I want to teach you about this is that congruency, another word that starts with con, congruency is what is needed for you to develop confidence to overcome the idea of listening to other people talk about how good they are and how great they are. I remembered going to Austria, going to France, and meeting some of the greatest skiers in the world when I was only 16 years of age. And the ones I interviewed, like Jean-Claude Killy and Karl Schranz, and great skiers like Nancy Green from Canada, were not arrogant, outspoken people. They were very humble, very quiet, very careful people. And they actually believed that preparation, being who you say you are, is actually the way to build your confidence. And I want you to understand that this is the reason why this is so important is this. And it's, I have 4 thoughts today that I want to try and get through and we'll do. And that is this: when you stand on the top step of the podium, for that moment, for that 90 seconds that the national anthem plays, you actually define the sport.
You define the sport?
Yes, because at that point, you are the icon of the sport.
Well,
if you're competing at the
If you're
Olympic
first.
Games or the World Championships or the World Cup Finals or the greatest World Cup race in the world, like the Hahnenkamm in Kitzbühel, and you win that race, and you stand there to be presented with your trophy, and you hear the national anthem, for that brief moment of 90 seconds, which is approximately the time it takes to play the national anthem, you define the sport. You are the epitome of the sport.
But only for 90 seconds.
But only for that period of time. Why? Because there's another race next weekend. There's another competition. There's another game
Right.
tomorrow.
Yeah.
And to be that person, you have to be prepared. As Jean-Claude Killy said to me, I went to the Olympics in 1968 thinking about Tony Seiler and his 3 gold medals in 1956. But I went there and believed with all my heart that I had to do everything I possibly could do to prepare myself, to give myself a chance. And in the moment, if I did what was right, and if I did all the things that I thought I had learned, and I did them the right way, perhaps my chance would come. And he ended up winning 3 gold medals.
Wow.
So let me ask you a question.
Sure.
Are you prepared?
Am I prepared? For what?
Are you prepared
For like-
to define your goal? Are you prepared to, for that 90 seconds, define what it is you're trying to achieve, what it is you want to do? In your case, you want to bench press 225.
Oh, yeah.
You want to be able to do that, but you know from just trying and working out that it goes up in minuscule amounts every time you go and lift. But you are defining yourself to be closer and closer and closer to reaching that goal and that objective. And because you are preparing yourself.
By doing it.
Yes.
Interesting.
Now, I'm not going to go into these, but I have very significant focus on the priorities that it takes. There's 10 of them. And I say this, is that you have to prepare yourself navigationally. In other words, do you know the road you're on where you're going? You wouldn't plan a holiday without knowing what road you're going to go on and how you're going to get there.
Right.
Are you preparing yourself associationally? which is, by the way, a word I just invented.
Associationally?
I don't even know if that's a real word, but by association. In other words, are you surrounding yourself with the right people
That get you to where you're going.
to get you to where you're going? The right coaches, the right physiotherapist, the right musician, the right teacher when it comes to whatever it is you need to know. Do you have an association with all those people? I like that word, associationally. I'm just invented a new word. Do you have, and are you prepared corporately? In other words, are you building an entity around yourself that people want to support and help you achieve? And then financially, you've got to have the money in place.
Right.
And, I had to figure out how to do that because I was paying my own way. So I had to figure out how to do that.
You had to figure out how to hitchhike to Seattle without any of the legal documentation.
Hitchhiking.
from Canada. From
Exactly.
Canada, Saskatchewan.
Then relationally,
funny.
are you preparing yourself to have the kind of relationships with the people that are part of your team? Are you investing in them as much as they're investing in you?
Right.
And these are in order of priority. In other words, you have to start with these are the least important at the beginning because you have so many other things to do. And then tactically, do you understand the sport you're in? I remember meeting and organizing the Wayne Gretzky golf tournament and sitting with him on the golf cart as we drove him from hole to hole. I said to him, what is one of the most important things that you did to prepare yourself to play in the NHL? And he says, read the rule book.
Yeah, wow.
And I said, oh, okay. Why was that so important? And he says, well, I can tell you personally that I know that we have won the Edmonton Oilers when he played for the Oilers.
This is Wayne Gretzky?
Wayne Gretzky.
Wow.
He said, I know that we have won 11 games because I was able to call a rule violation to the referee, point it out to the referee, and the referee had to give a penalty to the other team, and we scored a goal. And he said, most guys have never read the rule book.
Right. Even
They don't
in the
even
NHL.
know the rules of their sport.
Yeah. Right.
So that's a typical example of what we call tactically being prepared. And then technically, obviously, you have to have the skill.
You obviously got to be able to play
do it.
hockey if you're going to, play hockey.
Absolutely. And then mentally, are you preparing your mind? Do you know how to focus it? Do you know how to keep it focused?
Are you arrogant in your own head? You're like, I got this.
Or are you walking around telling yourself, I'm great, but honestly, when you look in the mirror, you know you're not.
Hey,
Okay?
I felt personal.
As a matter of fact, I think I'll buy you a mirror so you can just look at yourself. Next, physically. Are you physically prepared so that you do not have to think about how fatigued you are and how tired you are?
Look at that.
Exactly.
I'm real physically prepared.
And then at the base, the most important part, the IT of who you are, the internal training system that you need, which is vital, and it's what we teach most, and that is emotionally, are you prepared? Do you know how to manage your emotions, and are you congruently who you say you are? Or are you someone that does have to brag? You do have to try and impress somebody. You do have to try and psych somebody else out to try and tell yourself that I can beat them. Or can you actually deliver it?
Right.
I like to put it to you this way, that if there was a court case and a jury of your peers from these 10 areas was there, would they convict you of being who you say you are?
Right. Yeah.
Because
in a
if
court of
they
law.
wouldn't, then you're not ready. You're not prepared.
Right.
And that's how you know.
Right.
And athletes know this, especially performers know this. Anybody that's going to stand on a stage and have to prove what they say they can do. There comes a point where people know this person has what they say they have. This person is who they say they are.
Right.
Why do those that ascend to the highest levels get there? They didn't fall onto the top step. They climbed. And they had to climb every step. They weren't born under the right stars. They weren't born with just being arrogant and thinking that I can say this, I can do this.
Yeah, Arnold Schwarzenegger wasn't born with like 25-inch biceps.
No, he wasn't. And there are those that are
You gotta climb.
outspoken and appear to be confident from the start. But along the way, they've learned that they had to earn their way and get there.
Right.
I love to use the example of the best example I have. I think I've told this story before. If I have, I'm sorry I'm using it again, but it's such a great example. I was training in Solden, Austria, and Ingemar Stenmark was there. He was the greatest slalom technical skier in the world at the time. And it was 4:00 and the lifts were closing. And he went to the lift attendee and said, "Do you mind if we keep skiing?" And he said, "Well, I don't mind." But he says, it's going to get dark soon and you're not going to be able to see. And so he took his vehicles, Ingemar Stenmark and his coaches took their vehicles and shone the headlights up the hill.
Okay.
And
so
then-
you could ski.
And then he could see the gates.
Yeah.
And he climbed up and he says, "Jungle, come with me." And so I climbed with him and skied down, climbed up and skied down. And on the third climb up, I said, "So what are we working on, Ingemar? What are you trying to do?" And he says, "I don't have it yet. I don't have it yet. I haven't got it yet."
What's it?
It was knowing how to be on and off the edge in every turn consistently for 50 turns.
Right.
And he says, "I've almost got it, but not quite. And the season's about to begin, and I want to make sure that I have it and know that I can reproduce that performance when I need to." And we made another run, and he said, "One more." And we went up again. We climbed up again. It was the fourth time. It was totally dark. The only thing you could see was these bamboo gates
Right.
and the snow glistening from the headlights. And I saw him go across the finish line, what was a fictitious finish line at the end of the course. And his arms went up like this. And I heard him yell, "I got it. I got it." And I made another run and he says, "Did you get it?" And I said, "I got it." And I suddenly learned, this is confidence. This is what it means to be who you say you are. You're congruent with who you say you are and what you are.
And what you can do.
The second point I want to talk about is this. Who you are reveals who you will become in time. So it is the most important aspect to work on and make sure that your life is congruent with who you say you are and need to be. You ask me, how do you bench press 225? You actually write out weekly schedules with a certain amount of improvement every week for those number of weeks and then stick to that schedule. And I guarantee you, Cole, you will bench press 225. But if you let other things get in the way, you won't get there.
Right.
And when the day comes that you have to stand there and be tested, it isn't going to happen because you aren't who you say you are, because you didn't do what you said you were
Didn't
going
do the
to
work.
do.
I wasn't the person I said I was.
So let me ask you the second question. If you held court and there was enough evidence and witnesses that would say that you were convicted of being who you say you are.
Okay. Like there was a court case. I was on trial.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I use this as an example for you to think about when it comes to thinking that this is the only way we're going to select you to go to the Olympics.
Okay.
Right? We're not going to just do it based on results. We've seen your results. We know your results are there. But are you really an Olympian? In other words, are you worthy to be an Olympic athlete? Have you done the work that says you are going to show the best performance you've ever shown?
Right.
Would you be convicted? And I know I asked that in the first one, but this is a little bit different because when you think someone thinks they are better than everyone, it is you that has the problem, not them.
Whoa. When you think someone thinks.
When you think someone thinks they are better than everyone, it is you that has the problem, not them.
Right. Because they might not. If they're not thinking that, then the problem's.
Exactly.
Yeah. Interesting. Wow.
I can remember so many athletes that would say, I'm the best in the world. But I knew they smoked a pack of cigarettes a day. And you would say, well, what do smoking cigarettes have to do with being one of the best skiers in the world? But the fact of the matter is that if you smoke all the time, your lung capacity is limited.
Right.
And you may run out of oxygen before the lactic acid builds up in your body and you can't perform. So I knew it was a matter of time before I would eventually go by that guy.
Right, because you had bigger lung capacity.
Exactly.
Interesting.
So if you let somebody say something, or they say something and they are acting like they are arrogant, or they have a high opinion of themselves, and it upsets you, who has the power? They do. Because you're upset without you having to say anything, because you think that they actually think they are better than you. And this shows a weakness in yourself.
Right. Oh, wow.
And I know that's hard for a lot of people
That's a
to
weird
understand.
connection, yeah.
But you're the one that has the problem. If you can't pass this test, what are you going to do when it shows up in the most important moment and event? What are you going to do when you emotionally say, I'm not who I say I am, and here I am judging somebody else?
Right. Wow.
And I didn't do what I set out to do. So it reveals some of your own insecurity, and as a result, those who are ready to perform use it as part of their intimidation tactics, as Ali did all the time. What other emotional weaknesses do you have that can cripple your performance is the question you have to ask yourself. If you know your lung capacity is not great enough, you have to improve it. If you know your legs are not strong enough, you have to make them stronger. If you know that you don't have the endurance that you need, or whatever the situation is, if you haven't got the lines memorized in your tryout to do a reading for a part that you want to get in a movie, or in a play, or in something that you want to perform in, or if you have to speak to somebody and you're not prepared, you're not who you say you are, and therefore it intimidates you. And most people who don't like public speaking are not willing to do the work to prepare to speak.
Right.
So if I have to think and say I have a need of better equipment, or better coaching, or better programs, or I need more money, or I need more training, or I need more facilities, it's funny. Colton, people don't think about this, and the media never talked about it. But the Crazy Canucks,
That was your ski team,
if
right?
you think about the five of us, if you take the average length of the ski hills that we all skied on prior to us becoming a member of the national ski team, it was 600 vertical feet.
Okay.
That's the average.
Wow.
Dave Irwin came from Thunder Bay, Ontario. He skied at Big Thunder. It had 800 vertical.
Okay.
Steve Podborski came from Don Mills, Ontario. Don Mills had 220 vertical feet.
Okay.
Dave Murray skied at Mount Seymour at that time. It was just under 1,000 feet. I came from Saskatchewan. We had a stack of hay bales. I think it was maybe 20 feet high.
Right. That's as much as you had.
And Ken Reed spent most of his time, because his parents were in medical school, in Michigan and in Switzerland as a child, and was learning how to ski on little ski hills that had less than 600 vertical feet. The average is 600 vertical feet, and yet we took on the world and beat the world
That's cool.
because we were who we say we were on the ski hills that we had. We did the personal work, and instead we weren't complaining or saying that we couldn't do it because we didn't have this or didn't have that. We knew what we were about. Our congruency was consistent. Are you who you say you are, or are you just a facsimile?
Right.
If you think of a piece of fax paper, I know it's not used anymore.
So it's in the ancient era. It's
But
not my time.
It's an ancient technology.
Yes.
But if you had a piece of facsimile paper that you faxed 20 years ago, the sheet would be blank today because the ink would have faded off of it.
Right.
And it wouldn't even be there anymore. So, are you who you say you are? You reveal who you are. The higher you climb, the more you try to progress. Number 3, your position on the podium is equivalent to the power, planning, and striving for perfection of a positive preparation for practice and performance.
It's a lot of P's.
But the key here is this. You learn the most amount in. Sorry. The key is this. You learn the least amount in performance. You learn more in practice. But the majority of what you do to become the best of the best at what you want to be is in your preparation.
People don't talk about that.
And this is what people don't do. This is what people don't recognize, that everybody goes to practice. Everybody goes to games. You start out at 6 years of age playing a sport, doing gymnastics, doing swimming, maybe taking up dance, maybe trying to be an actor, and everybody goes to practice and everybody goes to the performance. How are you getting any better
than anyone else? Like,
you're
just the
exactly
same as
like
everyone
everybody else.
Right.
It's like my Irish dancing friend that we talked about a couple of weeks ago that just finished third in the world. When he came to me, I didn't teach him how to dance. I didn't go to his practices. I didn't go to his performances. I taught him how to become who he said he was.
Right.
And this is what we teach here. So let me ask you a question.
Okay.
Are you working on your performance? Are you working on your practice? Or are you working on your preparation? In those 10 areas that I spoke of
Yes.
previously.
Yes. Interesting.
The best of the best climb the mountain, and they know it's like a teeter-totter. They climb, they learn something, they level off, and suddenly they get momentum, and it heads downhill. It's a teeter-totter. And now they're heading downhill, and they're going faster than they've ever gone before, only to discover that when they arrive at the bottom of that slope, new devil, new level. You've got a new level to climb, and it starts all over again. And you get up to the top, you get the momentum, it slides down again, and you start again. And it's this constant teeter-totter of always moving yourself forward toward where you're going. When you've mastered the bottom, you've only just begun to master the next level. And the next one after that, and the next one after that.
Interesting.
You have to be so ready and so prepared that you can appear to be arrogant. You can appear to be outspoken.
But you're not.
But you're not.
You're just prepared.
But you're so intense on understanding this new level, new devil. So I got to get to work. I've got to get to work. I've got more work to do. I've got to do it, and I've got to do it right now. And our last point I want to make today. Knowing this, and you will love this, Cole. You will absolutely love this.
Okay. I'm ready for it.
Our propensity towards laziness.
Propensity?
Our propensity towards
Like our
laziness.
proneness?
I like
Same
to
word?
use a lot of the same words, starting with the same letter.
Okay.
I could say it another way. The problem is that our proneness towards laziness never gets tired.
Right.
Do I really have to go to practice again? Do I really have to go? I just want to play the game. You know, when kids sit together to have a shinny game, all they want to do is play a game.
Right.
They don't want to actually work.
They don't want to do the stretching.
They don't want to do the practice. They don't want to do the stretching. They don't want to warm up. They don't even want to clean the ice half the time. They just want to play a game. But what we don't realize is that you got to clean the ice before you can play the game. And this is preparation. And if you would spend 80% of your effort on your preparation
Yeah. Wow.
and 15% of your time on your practice and 5% of your time on the performance, you'd soon find that you outperform everybody.
In reality, it's like flipped, right? 80%
Absolutely.
performance, 15%, like, that's crazy.
Okay? So let me ask you the fourth question.
Okay.
What is your first response to having to get up early and go do your preparation? What is your first response to preparing?
Is it to go back to bed and hit snooze, or is it to go do it?
Or is it time to build a better me from the inside out. And that's not even doing a push-up, or that's not doing a bench press. That's not lifting any weights. That's actually teaching myself emotionally to overcome these things that can keep me from being the best I can be. Do you come to the place where your first response is to do what needs to be done before you do what you want to do?
Right.
You meet someone who appears to have their act together, you get to know them, or you don't. Why? Because if they're humble and they're kind and they're considerate, they teach you things. They show you things. They help you. But if they're arrogant and full of themselves, they don't really teach you anything. They don't want to, right? You learn that you don't know what they have done to get where they are, so you don't know what the price has to be paid that has to be paid. More P words, by the way. This desire to learn more is what pushes you to appear that you don't care about anybody else. But it is the thing they know they must do, that they need to do. The key to building confidence is to be congruent. Building confidence teaches each new level you are faced with to overcome those challenges only to prepare for the next ones. I had this lesson taught to me prior to the 76 Olympic Games.
Okay.
And I had had a good season
Right.
the year before the Olympic Games in 76. And I'd gotten to know Franz Klammer. And when the season was over, I went to visit him. And
Was he a skier too as well?
he was one of the greatest downhill skiers that Austria ever produced.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
And Franz Klammer he was the best of the best. And I told him that I was going to go home and I was going to prepare for the Olympics. And I said, you better be ready because
You're coming.
I'm coming. It's in Austria. And a few weeks later, I get this package delivered to my home.
Okay.
And it weighed almost 200 pounds.
Whoa.
And it was shipped from Austria.
You're like, oh, what's this?
And I'm going, man, what is this? And so I take the cardboard box, I rip it open, and it is this heavy-duty board. It's about this thick, and it's 12 feet long. And it's got steel plates in it, and then it's got base plates, and there's nuts, and there's bolts. And I'm going, what is this? And so I get the instructions, I put it all together, and taped on the bottom side of the board, and the board was about that wide. It was about, I'd say 12 inches, maybe 14 inches wide, and 12 feet long.
That's long.
And it was shipped all the way from Austria. And it had all of this, as I say, about 200 pounds worth of weight. And I put it all together, and underneath it, taped underneath it, is the instructions on how to use it. And as I pulled the instructions off, there's a handwritten note underneath. And the handwritten note is written in German.
Okay.
And so I have to get it translated. I didn't speak enough German to understand everything, but I understood enough. And I saw at the bottom it said Franz Klammer. And he said, on this note, follow these instructions, and you will be the best you can be when I beat you in Innsbruck. And you better be prepared.
Right.
When I read the instructions, it was a thing called the Klammer board,
Okay.
which he'd had built for himself to train for downhill. Hardest workouts I've ever done in my life.
Really?
I've never done anything that was tougher in such rapid succession. And I understood why he was the best. And Franz Klammer was so confident in himself that he was willing to send his competition how and what he did to be the best. And when the Olympics was over and he won the gold medal.
Yeah, he beat you.
He beat me. I I'm not making any excuses. I did my best, but that was the race that I hit the German photographer right before the race and cracked 4 ribs. So I was not in good shape to race.
That's kind of...
And I ended up 10th, but I wasn't going to make that excuse, and I certainly didn't tell him that, and I didn't say anything to anybody. But when we shook hands, I said, you are the best of the best.
Right.
You are who you say you are, friends. You are the Kaiser. You are the champion of downhill. You are the Olympic champion. And I said, thank you for helping me be the best I could possibly be. My dad gave me this quote when I was a kid, and at one time I had it memorized. I don't have it memorized anymore. I haven't read it or said it for ages.
Mm-hmm.
So
you had a lot of them you'd memorized.
And I used to carry this around inside my wallet all the time, and it says this: it is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles or where the doer of deeds could have done better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs and comes up short again and again. Because there is no effort without error or shortcoming. But the one who knows the greatest enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least he fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who know neither victory nor defeat. Theodore Roosevelt, Paris, April 23rd, 1910.
Wow.
Cole, being congruent so that you can be confident is recognizing that getting knocked down is a setup for getting back up.
It's a part of it. It's a key part of it.
And that's the myth about people that talk a good talk,
Okay.
but can't walk the walk. They can't chalk the walk. They can't talk and walk and chalk all at the same time.
Right.
Because when they write the truth or a lie, that's who they are. And when they say that's who they are, and they're not that, they can't do it. They can't deliver it. Under pressure, you have to be able to deliver it. And this is what we should be striving for as people that have other people following us, other people that we're leading, other people that we're coaching, other people that we're mentoring, children that we're trying to guide in life. Are we who we say we are? Or are we people that when the phone rings, you don't say to your child, "Who is it?" "I'm not here. I'm not here. Don't answer. I'm not here." Because you're not who you say you are. And you're teaching your children the wrong way. Or if you owe somebody some money, you don't want to face the facts and tell them the truth.
Right.
Or if you want to tell somebody off instead of telling them that you care about them because they make you angry, it's being honest. It's being who you are. And it's being truthful to yourself and saying, I will be the best I can be so that others will be the best they can be, so that when pressure is on, I perform to the best of my ability.
Wow.
Next week, we're going to deal with the last myth, and then we're going to move on.
Wow. It's a lot of I'm become real confident, Jim.
Well,
I walk around with some real swagger these days. You could ask anybody.
You know what I'm really
there's
happy
something different about Cole.
You know what I'm really happy about?
What's that?
Is I have watched you become more and more confident
Really?
as we've done this confident episodes.
I'm like a real live example.
Like,
you know what we need to do?
Think about this, Cole. No, just think about this.
Okay.
You used to arrive late all the time. Now you're always early.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're right.
Now you're always ahead of time. And now you're working out all the time. And I know the other things in your life that you're doing, and you've accomplished a great deal of things that at one time you used to say, well, I don't, we'll see, we'll wait. No, you have moved forward because what you've heard is moving you in a current dominant thought direction of I can instead of I don't know if I can.
Right. You can really see it.
So you are changing.
I was thinking about it. I should like at some point go on like a bodybuilding show, and then we can be like, hey, this is like what I used to be a small little kid, and now I'm like this big ripped guy. And there'd be some great promo. There'd be some great promo, Jim. What do you think?
You know what we're gonna do?
What? What are we gonna do?
This is what we're gonna do.
Do you know I have that book?
Well, you should hold this picture up, put it in your mirror, or find a picture in here
The
of
Arnold
him that you
Schwarzenegger
like.
book.
And put that up and
Get ready.
see yourself becoming who you say you are.
Right. Absolutely.
Become who you say you are. Congruency
Right.
is the way to build confidence. When you look out the window of the door of doubt, remember where we started?
Yeah, we started back in doubt.
The door of doubt, we look out the window. What do we see? I have to tell you this, Cole.
Sure.
I never, ever looked out the tent at Kokanee Glacier without seeing every guy that I could see and saying, I know I can outwork him, him, them. It's not a matter of if I make the national team.
Right. It's when.
It's just when.
Wow. Well, you know what they say, these podcasts have been really helping me, but you know what actually, Jim, you know what has actually been like helping me the most out of all of this? It's not actually just the podcast part. It's actually the extended material. See, that's where all the wisdom really is. Like this is just the light surface stuff, you know? So that's where we're going to head to right now. What do you think? Say goodbye to our people.
Yeah, I want to thank you for listening to the program today. Thank you. We've talked about the myth of are confident people actually arrogant and loudmouthed? Well, some might be, but actually most of the people that have to talk a big talk can't walk the walk. So you want the extended material, become a Patreon, join us, write me, ask me questions. I'll help you.
Every question.
And if you want my training, become a real trained Patreon, and I'll help you get where you want to get. And I can help you, and you will get there.
Like me.
Like Cole, like anybody else that I've worked with, like my little Irish dancer, like a lot of the athletes that I've worked with that went on to win Olympic medals, athletes that went on to play professional sport, athletes that have achieved great things, businessmen who have gone far beyond what they thought they could do. Because when you change who you are, you become better at what you do. And I want you to do that. And if you want to listen to the extended material, we're going to move to that right now and join up, and you can hear what we're going to give you as far as coaching on this particular topic.
Okay, let's do it. We'll see you guys over there. Goodbye.